So I was having a conversation with a client the other day, and we were talking about the weather. He was very concerned. And we were talking about the snowstorm we had last week, and the windstorm we had a couple months ago that knocked power out of Plymouth for like 3-4 days. And he was concerned because he was moving from the North Shore down to here, and he was looking forward to getting away from that inclement weather and getting away from all that severe weather. And he was very worried, like, what is going on? Is it really that bad all the time? So I started thinking about, the conversations that I've been having, and a lot of people asking that question a lot more these days as more people are kind of moving into Plymouth from out of state. So I thought I would share my own very unscientific 30 years of experience living in Plymouth and share that knowledge to let you know what it's like and what the weather is like in Plymouth, Massachusetts. So first off, we are in New England, and New England brings changeable seasons. That's one of the things that people love about New England is it'll be 10 degrees today, 50 degrees tomorrow, and then 10 degrees the day after that. And that is not any different in Plymouth. But on average, the temperatures are different when you're looking at the South Shore versus the North Shore versus Western Mass. And so I just want to go through the seasons, kind of share what my experience has been. And for certain, my experience has changed because the weather patterns have changed. So my experience, is going to be based on the last couple years. But if we start with the spring, so the spring season is probably my favorite season of the year. You're starting to get, crocuses are starting to pop, the grass is starting to turn green, things are starting to just sprout up everywhere. And because our winters are typically not as severe, we typically don't have a lot of snowpack that needs to clear out and melt before we start seeing these things pop up, which means we can get outside, sooner, and we can start doing cleanup sooner. And when, softball starts, my daughter plays 3 seasons of softball, spring, summer, and fall, we can usually get out, April is typically when the season starts. The only thing we have to deal with is just the ground might be a little mushy, and that's happened depending on how much snow we had during the winter or how much rain we had during the winter, which lately is more often the case. But as things start to warm up, the ground starts to dry out, and it's a really, really gorgeous time of year here. I absolutely love it. The downtown waterfront absolutely comes to life in the spring here. People are just, walking downtown, and, after you've been through the winter, 50 degrees feels like, 80 degrees. To be honest, I was outside yesterday. It was, in the 40s, and just a light sweater, and it was super comfortable because it was literally like 9 degrees the day before. So, it's a beautiful season. Summer, typically on average, and I was kind of researching this just a tad to see what our average was. The average is right around 80 degrees, which makes sense to me. Not everyone in Plymouth has an air conditioner. That's the one thing that I see a lot of people asking for, like when they're moving into town, like, oh, we need central air. And when I tell them that not every home has central air, they're like, wait, what? It's not as common because we're a coastal town and because we're right off the Cape. So our average temperatures aren't going to be as high as if you lived closer to the city, for certain. We do have days that are hot, of course. Definitely there are warmer days in the 90s, heat waves, but on average, it's going to be probably somewhere in the low to mid 80s is kind of where we hover. If you're a fair weather beachgoer, like I am. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to jumping in the cold ocean. So it's got to be pretty hot for me to go to the beach, pretty warm to go to the beach. There were a couple summers I didn't even go to the beach once, because it wasn't hot enough. That being said, guaranteed, as soon as we have our first 70-degree day, there will be people down on the beach with the beach chairs. hands down, probably sooner than that. Fall is definitely my second favorite season. Love fall, and I think just because there's so much going on, we're leading up to, our big holidays, and Thanksgiving is our hallmark holiday here in Plymouth, and Halloween's a ton of fun. There's so many different things going on, but it's just a pretty time. The leaves tend to turn a little later here, so we don't see it as soon. But to be honest, we're doing leaf cleanup for when the leaves start falling from the trees, right into December, right in the beginning, middle, early part of the December. I was still outside blowing leaves this year. So again, my daughter plays softball 3 times a year, three seasons out of the year. And this year, we were out there, light coats, no problem at all. I think one day I put a blanket over my legs because it was kind of a drizzly day, damp day. But it wasn't cold, and it was really comfortable. Now, winter, which seems to be the hot topic for people, what do I have to buy a snowblower, and how much snow, and especially people that are trying to get away from high snow climates. Again, based on my experience the last 4 or 5 years, because for certain that 5 years is going to be different than the last 15, last 20. We used to get a lot more snow. We don't anymore. Call it what you will, climate change or whatnot, global warming. But for certain, we don't get as much snow as our neighbors to the north. And when we do, it's typically a wetter snow. So for example, this past snowstorm, our neighbors to the north, our Boston area, Boston suburbs, they got about a foot of snow. I think we got about 6 inches. It was 6 inches of very heavy, wet snow. So can a snowblower throw it? Absolutely. I use an electric snowblower, and it had no problem clearing the driveway, whatsoever. The upside to that, besides having less snow, is literally the afternoon of the snowstorm, the roads were already down to blacktop. And so it was actually pretty beautiful, but and the temperatures were pretty cool, definitely below freezing. But just because we're close to that freezing mark, the snow just doesn't stick around. And to be honest, it was gone in 24, 48 hours. It was 100, pretty much all of it is gone. Now we've just got little pockets here and there, little tiny piles, still lurking, but most of it's 100% gone. So for the snow during the winter. Last year, I probably used my snowblower 3-4 times. The winter before that, I think I used it twice. The winter before that, maybe 3-4 times. Can you do an electric? Absolutely. I have a driveway that's two car widths. I have 2-car driveway that'll fit like 6 cars, and my Ego snowblower does it no problem whatsoever, none whatsoever. So you don't need a big, in my opinion, I don't need a big gas snowblower to do that, but not severe. So that's my take on the weather in Plymouth. Hope you found this helpful. And I hope you're safe out there this winter. Chime in if you got any winter stories, any Plymouth winter stories. There's plenty of them out there. Be safe this winter. Drive safely. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye now.